All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. And today I just wanted to talk about some films that I've watched recently, with the exception of the first one I'll talk about here. With the exception of, just get it out of the way, Casablanca, which I watched, I think, 2 years ago for the first time. All the rest of these are going to be first time watches for me, movies that I watched like within the past 6 months. So I haven't been doing a very good job of keeping up on films on this channel. My focus has mainly been on books. And honestly, I think I'm starting to realize that it's a waste of my time to talk about books as much as I do because nobody cares. So I'm not going to stop talking about books, but I'm just going to start talking about them even less than I do now. So we'll talk about these films because I think that film is an important part of culture as well, in addition to reading. And all of these films I'm going to discuss here are on the American Film Institute's top 100 list. So I wouldn't be recommending them to you if they weren't worth watching due to cultural relevance, um, just kind of like filmmaking techniques. They're all a part of film history. And people that are a lot more, I guess, academic than I am have gone through and selected these films, and this particular pile appears on both lists. So AFI put out two lists, and both of these are, the one is from the inaugural list, and the revised list, these have moved around in position, but regardless, they've made both lists, so I think that's pretty impressive. So Casablanca, starring Humphrey Bogart, number one, Ingrid Bergman, of course, Play It Again, Sam, right? The famous line made it into pop culture. Um, it's basically unrequited love. You have Rick Blaine here, played by Humphrey Bogart, who owns a nightclub, and he is in contact with people and the resistance, right, during World War II. So I'm not going to say a whole lot about these because, maybe you're already familiar with them, but they are recommendations for me. Next up, we will talk about, of course, number one on both lists, which is Citizen Kane, written and directed by Orson Welles. I believe it was written by Orson Welles. I don't know. Anyways, nominated for 9 Academy Awards in 1941. Of course, it won for Best Original Screenplay by Orson Welles. It's about the rise and kind of like fall of this media mogul personality, Charles Foster Kane. It features non-linear storytelling, so it jumps back and forward in time rather than following a straight chronology, which I think was pretty revolutionary for the time. Joseph Cotton is in this, I believe. Yeah, um, as the friend of Charles Foster Kane. Of course, the film was edited by Robert Wise, who would go on to become a famous director himself, directing films such as The Day the Earth Stood Still and Star Trek, the motion picture, right? So next up, we've got another film, black and white. This one from 1954, winner of 8 Academy Awards, On the Waterfront, starring Marlon Brando, which he's an ex-fighter named Terry Malloy. I could have been a contender. That comes from this movie. Of course, you probably heard that in popular culture and didn't know where it came from. Well, this is the film. He basically is an ex-fighter who becomes a leg breaker, a money collector, and it has kind of a redemption arc. Deals with guilt, and the end is pretty. I would say that the end of the film is pretty much the finest part of the movie. Maybe, I don't know. I'll leave that to you to decide. So worth watching, absolutely, fantastic film. Next up, we've got another oldie, Double Indemnity, starring Barbara Stanwyck. Edward G. Robinson's in this as an investigator. It involves a scam on a double indemnity policy insurance where her husband, you know, this femme fatale, has her husband murdered so that she can collect. This was based on a short novella or novel by Raymond Chandler, which I've read. And while I did like the short novel, I think that the movie is superior, and that's my humble opinion. Again, who am I? Uh, Barbara Stanwyck in this absolutely burns up the movie screen. Edward Gene Robinson is great. I mean, this is just chef's kiss. Noir flick, right? We got another crime noir film, another one with Bogart. This one is Humphrey Bogart and Mary Astor, the Maltese Falcon. Um, he's a detective named Sam Spade, and they're trying to track down this Maltese Falcon. It has a character in it played by Peter Lorre, who you can tell that had an influence on Steven Spielberg's film Raiders of the Lost Ark, 1981. Actually, this film, if you watch this, okay, the character played by Peter Lorre and then the search for the actual Maltese Falcon itself feels very reminiscent of Raiders of the Lost Ark. The warehouse scene from Raiders feels like it draws on a shot from Citizen Kane, where there's like all of Charles Foster Kane's stuff is like in a big pile, and the zoom in shot of the warehouse from the end of Raiders had to have been inspired by this. And then the part where Indiana Jones is in Egypt feels like it draws inspiration from Casablanca, just the whole way that everything looks, right? So if you watch these three movies and then you watch Raiders of the Lost Ark, you can tell like Steven Spielberg is either ripping them off or paying homage to them. The last two I'm going to talk about here are more modern films, which the first up is Apocalypse Now by Francis Ford Coppola, based on inspired by Joseph Conrad's novel Heart of Darkness. Um, yeah, it's another film that's on AFI's top 100, although it's lower on the list, but I think it's in the middle of the pack, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, this one was praised by Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. This particular pack I have here, I believe it has 2 discs. Okay, it's got the film, the theatrical cut of Apocalypse Now, and then the Redux is on here, which includes footage that wasn't in the original version. And then it has the documentary on the making of the film, Hearts of Darkness, which itself is worth watching alone because the story behind the making of this film is absolutely a story in itself, and it's quite insane. Francis Ford Coppola risked it all to make this and literally drove himself quite mad while he was on the location shoot. Script was written, believe it or not, by George Lucas, who went on to make Star Wars. Very bizarre. The final one I'll talk about here just finished celebrating its 50th anniversary. I've got the 40th anniversary edition. This is Taxi Driver, starring Robert De Niro as Travis Bickle. Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me? Right? Kind of a disgruntled Vietnam vet comes back and becomes a cab driver in New York City in the 1970s. Features Jodie Foster as a young prostitute and Harvey Keitel as her pimp. Um, Scorsese said that the character of Travis Bickle was partially inspired by Dostoevsky's novella Notes from the Underground, and Travis Bickle's kind of an underground man. He also says that the film draws inspiration, believe it or not, from John Ford's classic western, The Searchers. That's one of the reasons why Harvey Keitel in certain scenes is shown wearing a feather and got kind of a like Native American accoutrement on his costume, because he's supposed to be like the Scar character from that movie. And of course, Travis Bickle, right? Saving the young Jodie Foster, well, quote unquote, saving. Is he saving her? I don't know. But draws inspiration from that film, and that the search for the young girl that's abducted by Scar in the film The Searchers kind of parallels this movie a little bit. Also, there's a young prostitute that is in Dostoevsky's novel Notes from Underground, so it's heavily inspired by both of those. You know, the film The Searchers by John Ford and Dostoevsky's novella. That's all I've got for you today. You can expect to see more short videos like this in the future. I would not be recommending these films to you if I didn't think they were worth watching. They're obviously regarded as some of the top films that have ever been created by Hollywood. So, till next time, let me know what your thoughts on if you've seen these below. And if you haven't seen them, if you're interested in checking them out yourself, have a good one.